Throughout this video, I'm going to tell you why traditional gender roles and family values are essential for relationships and society to flourish. This is the antidote to bring love back into the hearts of men and women. We live in a godless society where most people spit in the face of God and want to do their own thing. I repeat, we live in a godless society where most people spit in the face of God and want to do their own thing. The modern world has created a culture where people live for themselves, right? We've got feminism, red pill and MGTOW, which has done nothing but turn men and women against one another, right? We've got women that say to other ladies, don't trust men. So most women shy away from serious commitment. Then you got men telling other guys, hey, don't trust women. Then you got men that don't have families, don't want to grow close to good women. And what this does, it creates a mindset of everybody's out to get me and I can't trust in people. Men and women have become divided against one another, and that brings about hatred. It brings about fear. It brings about insecurity. On top of that, we've ripped away the role of the man and the role of the woman, and we've confused everyone, and we've made a 50-50 society where all the roles are mixed. And what happens? What's the end result? Degenerates, immorality. We've got men that are confused. We've got women that are lost. We've got a high suicide rate. We've got obesity. We've got low testosterone in men. We've got broken marriages, broken homes. Children growing up with serious unresolved trauma. All because we've gotten rid of traditional gender roles and family values in the name of love, right? And tolerance, which isn't even a virtue. You see, when you spit in God's face and you turn away from his teachings and his will for your life, you will be lost. Because when you don't have God to hold you accountable, you don't adhere to his principles, to his righteousness, you end up being led astray by your sin. And this is why you've got men trying to define now what it means to be a man. Alpha male, beta male, sigma. They come out with all these different terms because they've turned away from traditional, from the roots, from what's always worked. And then you've got women doing the horoscopes and doing all their stupid boss babe and Miss Independent stuff because society's brainwashed them to be like men, and they're rejecting their own femininity. And then people wonder why they're so miserable. You see, we were never meant to live this way. See, life is a beautiful thing, guys. And a lot of you have this incel mindset where you hate one another, and this needs to stop. Okay, this ends today. Relationships are beautiful. Life is beautiful. Go out there, spend 10 minutes in the sun, smile. Go out there, meet good people, and try and love as many people as you can. Try and do good to others. Pick up your Bible, get right with God. Why am I telling you this? Because humans, we are social creatures. We were made to bond with one another, to be in community, to relate to one another, to have kinship, to have a sense of unity, to love one another, not to be divided, not to hate one another. You know, men and women, we were made for one another. We have an innocent need of one another. I mean, that is beautiful. We can come together and really create families, build legacies, build societies. This is why it's so important that we have this as the end goal of family, of serving the society, of serving community, of really being there for one another. Because living for yourself, living this fake high value lifestyle where all you care about is fame, hooking up, attention, getting validation, looking good, caring for what the world says about you. That's all insecure. That's all meaningless. And that leads nowhere. And we see all these men that lead this lifestyle, where it leads them. Look at Kevin Samuels. He was a stupid fake red pillar. And look where that got him. For what would it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? Right? And look where Kevin Samuels is now. Right? R.I.P. We know that man didn't have Christ in his heart. You know exactly where he is for all eternity. And I just want to throw that out there because a lot of you think this is all fun and games, but it's not. You have free will. You've got to be very delicate with what you do because you reap what you sow in life. And Kevin Samuels was out there hating, his own people. He was hating everyone. He was throwing all this hatred on women. And look how it's come back on him now. He ain't here anymore. Because his foundations were wrong. It was built upon unrighteousness. And he's not here anymore to spread his lies. Okay? So this fake high value lifestyle leads you to where he's going. So if you want to be like him, you go right ahead. Okay? So why are traditional gender roles and family values so important? See, if the family unit falls apart, so does society. These values have played an important part in creating righteous men and women throughout the ages. A man and woman joined together in the sacred act of procreation. They're sworn to commit to one another under traditional marriage. This is the basic building block for a stable society. The man learns to set aside all women for one, and he takes on the responsibility for the well-being of his wife. He takes on a new title, that of a husband. He must now dedicate his life to protect and care for her. So it's a new challenge for him. Okay? Because love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, it's a commitment. So this is what you should be preparing for as a man: fatherhood, husbandship. Likewise, the woman, she learns to care for her husband and submit to his leadership. She becomes his wife and dedicates herself to nurturing and serving him. She's his support and most trusted confidant. Isn't that beautiful? And really, that's how simple it is. If men just were men and women were just women, okay, and people live that way. You see, neither can be without the other. And this is the beautiful thing. They're in it together. The man becomes the head of the house, and the woman, she becomes the heart and soul of the home. Without the heart, the head lacks passion. And without the head, the heart is misguided and lost. They learn through sacrifice that love is not about the feelings of mutual pleasure, even though it feels great. Love is about commitment, loyalty, and giving. The man brings order and structure, and the woman adds mercy and tenderness. Together, they create a life-giving balance. Once you get marriage right, once you get courtship right between man and woman, you get engaged, you become husband and wife, then you can have children properly. Because you're doing it God's way. And remember, there's a lot of degeneracy out there in the world that will pull you away. Okay, never forget what the Bible teaches us. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Romans 8 verse 6. This is how we should live, guys. To do the things that God wants us to have. Because he wants what is best for us. You know, a lot of people will hate on me for that. But marriage is a beautiful thing. What does God tell us in Proverbs 18 verse 22? Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and obtaineth favour of the Lord. God ordained marriage. He sanctified it to be the union between man and woman, to represent family, to represent the gift he's given us, which is life. It's a beautiful thing, guys. Don't waste it. And for you young guys that are watching my channel, that are like, you know, in your teens or you're in your late teens or early 20s, doesn't matter. You guys are so lucky to learn this stuff at such an early age, because you can really take the time to really deepen your knowledge and prepare for the future. Prepare to be a good father and a good husband for you guys, and for the ladies to be a good wife and a good mother. And live a traditional life, a peaceful life. Don't live this fake, high-value Instagram life where these miserable people are posting fake selfies online to get attention from people they don't care about, because they're lost, because they don't have God in their lives. They're not seeking God's love. Therefore, they could never love you or themselves. So they're seeking love in a damaged way, through attention, through pleasure, through vanity. And that doesn't lead anywhere, okay? You have to be spiritually minded. And that comes from God. You have to know Christ. If not, everything else won't matter, guys. So, once a man and a woman get married and they engage in their responsibility, well, there's a new one that comes from that. Which is, when the couple have children, they take on new duties. The wife learns to embrace motherhood and takes it upon herself to nurture and care and rear the children. And the husband, well, he has something else to deal with now as well. Fatherhood, a new challenge to stimulate his masculinity, to really put him to the test. On his shoulders fall the responsibility to lead, protect, and provide for his family. This has always been the role of the man. And guys, if you have a good, feminine, loving, tender woman in your life, you should do that for her. And for the ladies watching, if you've got a good man in your life, you should submit to him. You should yield to him and love him and care for him. Because men, we need respect and admiration. And you ladies, you need affection and praise. And when everybody stays in their gender role, it works. We see now a generation of people that are confused, and we can see the fruit that it bears. People are in pain. You know, how many people are medicated for antidepressants? They're depressed. They're miserable. I mean, they're completely broken. They've got one foot in the grave. You know? That's not a way to live. But the modern world, that's all it offers you. Greed, lust, envy, laziness, ego, vanity. Is that a way to live? I don't think so. So what else comes from this in regards to the family? Well, children get to grow up in a happy home where all their needs are met. Okay, this translates to the normal development of emotional intelligence, social awareness, boundaries, confidence, developing communication skills. Okay, witnessing both parents love each other gives them the basic blueprint on how to maintain a relationship of their own when they come of age. You see, the reason why so many of you don't know how to maintain a relationship is because you came from broken homes or you had non-traditional parents and you're trying to pick up the pieces. But that's okay because you found relearning relationships. Okay, shout out, here we are. Okay, I know that isn't for everyone. For me, I grew up in a traditional home. I saw that structure and I saw how it works and it did wonders for me. Okay, shout out to mum and dad. Okay, to my mum and dad. They did an amazing job. And I'm blessed. It was such a privilege and an honor to have that growing up. I mean, the amount of amazing memories I have from my childhood. I'll never forget, my dad teaching me how to swim, teaching me how to ride a bike, taking me to my first football game, right? Teaching me how to drive. Being there for me when I was, a teenager and I had my first heartbreak. I'll never forget my mum, all of her beautiful homemade cooking. Coming back from school every day and there was a warm meal on the table. Doing things together as a family. Going to church. Watching movies together. Going on trips together. Family picnics. Everything. We did everything as a family. And that's all I needed. That was wonderful. Remember, the best way to love your children is to love your spouse. And if kids don't see mum and dad love each other, they won't know how to love. Okay? That's just a fact of life. So through family, children learn tradition. The little things you keep in the home, the things you do together as a family. You learn about your culture. You learn about faith and love. Parents that are present in their children's upbringing are essential in giving them an identity and a sense of belonging. I've seen so many people grow up without a mum, without a dad. And when they don't heal, either they become very codependent, insecure, and needy, and they keep ruining relationships because they become control freaks, or they become very promiscuous and they just flee from any type of commitment, any type of connection and vulnerability, but yet they still seek out some type of connection throughout lust. And I've seen so many guys, I'm not in contact with them now, of course, I don't associate with those people, but I've seen them. I saw what happened. They would just start sleeping around and hooking up and they'd lose count and they'd really damage themselves, their ability to pair bond. And they just stopped being loving and they had all these daddy and mommy issues and they just led a degenerate lifestyle because they didn't know how to love. They were seeking love through pleasure, through self-gain, but that's not love. That's taking, that's not giving. Okay? And in today's world, so many people view these values as old-fashioned and outdated. that there's somehow ancient beliefs that have no place in our modern society, where anybody can love whatever they want and be whatever they want. And this is what we're seeing play out today, with degeneracy and depravity just running rampant. And its fruits are evident. Okay? There's an entire generation of men and women who have no identity. And this is why you've got feminism and red pill. Because people don't want to get to know God. They're upset. They hate their parents. They're heavily medicated. They're poisoned with all the rubbish that's pumped into the food and the water. From all the lies that you're taught at school and all of the fear that the media pumps into you, people are lost. But the one thing that's free, and remember, anytime something is free, you're the product, you're being experimented on. The only thing that's free is pleasure, entertainment, music, TV, movies, pornography, all of these things, drugs and alcohol, that's just pushed on, men and women of today's world. Consumerism. And people are living for themselves. They're living for the weekend. They don't care about family. They don't care about life. You think, you go back 100 years ago, how difficult, how hard it was for people. But even then, they had children. Even then, they had large families, because that's what people lived for. That's where people found happiness. Didn't matter how many wars were going on or how bad things were in the world. You had each other. You had your own kind. You had your own family, your own flesh and blood to love. You had unity. You had love with them. And that is what mattered the most. That's what people lived and died for. That's what we've always sacrificed for. Don't your parents do everything for you? Well, if you've got good loving ones, haven't they sacrificed everything for you? Because that's their duty, to prepare you for the day that they're not here anymore. But yet, what about this last generation? What are we doing? You're going out and you're clubbing on the weekend, you're getting drunk with your buddies or ladies, you're just getting your little, plastic surgery done because you're insecure, because you see some fake Kardashians do it on TV, because you want to look like them and you think that's what real men want, which, by the way, we don't. We don't like plastic women. And then you got men listening to red pill coaches, Andrew Tate and all of these evil degenerates. And then they start using women and they're damaged. Is that what you want to live for yourself? Okay? Do what you want, right? That's what society tells you. And then people say there's no God, but yet you spit in his face every day. That's on you. So this entire generation has been brainwashed to reject moral order and pretty much live for themselves. They've got no responsibility and no sense of purpose. They're lost in their pride. Okay, this doesn't mean they're bad people. It means that they're in a very dangerous position that can lead to terrible life choices. So with the fragmentation of families, increase of usage in social media, political correctness, promiscuity, rejection of faith, we're witnessing a moral collapse in slow motion. Okay, and it was different. I remember growing up. When I was a kid, it was a little bit more normal then. I mean, now it's just really, really leveled up. It's something worse now. Okay, children are just becoming emotionally withdrawn, completely disconnected from reality. I like to people watch. So when I go out to eat somewhere or I'm in public, I observe people, I observe their body language, I observe families. I see more and more, young couples with kids. And, you're at a restaurant and they sit there and they give their kids iPads and tablets and all these digital devices. This is really not helping them. It's stimulating them. It's unhealthy. Give them a book. I mean, that's what my parents did to me. It's why I found a love for reading at an early age. I remember growing up, my parents put a real hard lock on electronics. It was, you could have like a couple of hours of TV a Friday night or Saturday night. That was it. Other than that, it was playing outdoors with the other kids, playing football, whatever, running about with my dog or my brother, whatever. Reading, playing with Legos and toys. That's what kids do. That's what kids need to do. Go out there and explore and be curious, not attached to these digital devices, which are a prison. And this is what's happening to children nowadays. They don't have any social skills because they're on a screen 24/7. And they're falling into this bottomless pit of chaos and emptiness. The world of our grandparents and parents is slowly being erased because of cancel culture and emotionally weak individuals. Okay? Just look at the entertainment industry. It portrays men as cowardly, insecure, bullies, and then it shows you women as these strong, independent, manly, women that don't need no men. And then, the media as well, it paints this picture that, old values, which is a real values, the things that I teach, that for my long-term subscribers, you guys know what I teach, chastity, faithfulness, monogamy, family. They teach that these things are outdated, that it's not cool anymore. So instead, what we see today is that moral choices are based on selfishness, vanity, lust. Girls are taught that they have no value anymore if they want to be a wife or a mother, unless they become career-oriented women, right? Be a slave in the cog, be a slave in the machine, be another cog in the system, in the wheel, right? Go work for some boss and go submit to him, but God forbid a woman loves and submits to her husband, right? And then boys, the war on men is serious as well. Boys are emotionally castrated from an early age because of these weak and turn into weak, spineless people pleasers. And then what happens? They grow up and they become men without a lack of self-control, no ambition, no strength. They lose themselves in porn addiction that destroys their moral compass. Sex loses its wonder and exclusivity. Thanks to the sexual liberation movement, or should I say no thanks to it, the sacred act of sex has been reduced to a casual activity that's easily accessible to everyone. It's like, buying some tickets to go to watch a movie. People don't see sex as valuable anymore. Most people, unfortunately. And I aim to change that with my content, to educate you. It's not too late. It's not too late. But when I see you young guys really need to take care of yourself. You need to protect yourself. You go on Instagram now for one day. I mean, if you go on Instagram for 2 hours and you scroll through your feed, you're going to see 10,000 thoughts. You're going to see 10,000 women dressed in scantily clothing, half naked, promiscuous. I mean, even the prostitutes 100 years ago would clothe themselves with more modesty than some of the young women today. If that doesn't tell you we've collapsed as a society, I don't know what does. So you men are exposed to this amount of soft porn, this imagery, and it's hitting your dopamine receptors at such a level that it will cause all sorts of problems for you in your hormones, erectile dysfunction. It'll damage your ability to pair bond because it's tricking your brain that, you're going to be intimate, that you're going to have sex, but you're not. And then it, messes up everything in your body. And when you're exposed to that unhealthy amount of, women in a day, just by going on social media, or for you guys that look at pornography, do you know how much damage that does to you? Just think back to your grandfather or your great-grandfather. He didn't see 10,000 women in his life, let alone that many naked women, okay? He would grow up, he'd go to school, all the women were dressed modestly, he'd go to college, he'd get married early, 19, 20, 21, to a good woman. He was virgin, she was virgin. They both practiced chastity, they were raised on Christian values. They couldn't wait to have a family, and they bonded with each other. Sure, maybe, he made a few mistakes. He was young, he was lustful. He saw a beautiful girl at school. He was letting his imagination run wild. Okay, you're young, those things happen. But he wasn't exposed to thousands of naked women throughout his life. And you young guys don't even have to be intimate with a woman. You can go online and search up these things, and you're bombarded with images and videos of all these women, and it's stuck in your brain. It's stuck in your mind. Just think of the damage that does to you. It prevents you from seeing women as real beings capable of love with a soul. It destroys your ability to feel any love or connection to women. Okay? Guys, this is really dangerous. Okay? What does the Bible say? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? The devil's coming for you from all angles. You've got to protect yourself. This is why you need God. And then we look at with women. Okay, women's rights and feminism. It's done nothing but damage women and men, marriage and family as a whole. Okay, feminism comes from communism. Okay, it's designed to destroy traditional family values because it convinces women that they're oppressed when they serve their husband and children at home, but they're somehow free when they live a promiscuous lifestyle and slave away at the workplace for a boss that doesn't care about them in the slightest. I had a conversation with my mother about this. I have a great relationship with my family. And I was talking to my mum recently about what she thinks about feminism and all of this. And she said she feels bad for all the young girls today that are brainwashed to, be Miss Independent and live that life. Because, as she put it, they're missing out on being a real woman the way God intended. And she feels really bad for these girls. So, there you have it. Feminism was created to bring women into the workforce to tax them, while simultaneously encouraging them to rebel against the patriarchy, right? Because when you've got both parents out of the household, that leaves the education of values and principles in the hands of the government, using media, public education, and other means of mass indoctrination. You see, feminism brainwashes girls to deny their femininity, turn from wifehood and motherhood, and instead develop an interest in career and other masculine roles in society. How can feminism empower women when it attacks the very essence of what make women unique and different from men? And, women have really, now they've been sold the worst deal. Because women now have to be like men in society, okay, in the West, and they've also got to come home and be like women. That puts them on a lot of stress, which ruins their hormones, deregulates everything. And it's like, for you ladies that are feminists, because I know there's going to be a feminist watching this who's going to get riled up. You know how easy you would have had it 20, 30, 40 years ago? All you had to do was choose a good, godly man, love him, be a lady, and you live a peaceful life. Not to mention, any woman that finds a good traditional man today and she stays in her role as the woman, you know how easy your life is going to be, especially with all the technological advancements of today. We've got, all of these automated machines, dishwashers, the Roombas that do all the hoovering and all the cleaning, right? You got all of these household devices with technology that make half the household work easier, quicker, and more efficient than 30, 40, 50 years ago. So if you're a traditional woman today, you have that as an advantage. Okay, that's all you got to do. Take care of the kids, take care of the home, make sure everything is in order, love your kids, love your husband, and be the heart and the soul that your husband and children need. That's it. You don't have to worry about paying no bills. You don't have to worry about any taxes. It would be so easy for you. So for you women that are feminists, that are career women, you're missing out. And when you could have it so easy today if you really wanted to. If you had a good man, if you chose a good man. But first you got to be a good godly woman. If not, that ain't going to happen. But that's how easy it would be. Have everything done for you with a washing machine and all of these things today. You think about women 100 years ago, 150 years ago. I mean, a lot of them enjoyed being traditional. I've heard stories from my great-grandmother. Even my grandma now, she's really old. She's still alive. And even my other grandmother, before she passed away, they loved being real women. And my other grandma, before she passed away, I remember the year before she died, I went to see her with my family. I was there with all my cousins, my uncle, my aunts, my parents, my brother. We were all there. There was about at least 50 people out there that were direct descendants and lineage from her blood. Not one of us sat around her bed, because she was in an old people's home, Nobody sat around her bed and asked her about her career or what she did for work. We were all proud and blessed that we came from her, that we're one of her descendants, that she was our grandmother. And she was so happy looking at us that a huge family came from her, right? That she built a legacy, she built a family. That's what we all cared about. So for you ladies that really think your career is going to make you happy, you are missing out. If you just did what God called you to do, love your husband, love your children, be keepers of the home, be submissive, be nurturing, caring, embrace your femininity, it would be so easy for you. And now you got technology to make it 10 times easier. Because 150 years ago there wasn't, or 200 years ago there wasn't washing machines or dishwashers, all of these, electronic apparatuses which make things easier. But now you have it. So please take note of that, okay? Please don't live that life, okay? Feminism is cancerous, okay? So another thing we see, in today's world. The prescription of contraceptives. Okay, this also pushes for casual sex, and it convinces young women that they can sleep around without any consequences and be carefree. And also for men as well. A lot of guys take advantage of this and think they can, raw dog as many women as they want and then flee to Argentina and they don't have to pay child support. A lot of guys, they don't care either. But these pills and all of these contraceptives are actually very harmful to a woman's fertility, to her mental health. It's really, really bad. So we see all of these problems that have come from this, sexual rights movement and liberation, which really is nothing more than open and rampant promiscuity. People now aren't held accountable. So the family unit is the nucleus of society. And without it, there will be no strong nations. Because people that grow up in strong, healthy, traditional families, when you grow up in that environment, you learn morals, you learn respect, you learn about confidence, how to take pride in your heritage, your culture, your nationality, your race. Okay? And a people with a strong sense of unity and family ties cannot be controlled by tyrannical leaders because they value freedom. And they will die fighting to protect their loved ones. But what have they created now? We've created a culture because people don't care about anything. They live for their own pride and their ego and selfishness and a fake high-value lifestyle. People don't care about their rights being legislated away. People don't care about their tax dollars going overseas to foreign countries, right? People don't care about their morals or the values upon which the West was founded upon being stripped away because they've got cheap entertainment, casual sex, okay, and fast food. And when you have a society that cares about nothing but themselves, this is what happens. But if every young man and woman today, everybody at least by the age of 25, for example, if the vast majority was engaged, married, or had their first child at least, and was building a family, they would care so much more about what's going on in the world. They would fight 10 times harder to keep their rights, to be healthy, to be strong, to be involved in their community, to make sure that their families are protected. Why? Because they've got children. And they'd want to leave a better life behind for their children and for their children's children. Right? What does the Bible say? A righteous man leaves an inheritance behind for his children's children. But because people are out for themselves, they don't care that everything that our founding fathers, that our great-grandparents, our grandparents bled for, World War I, World War II, they don't care about that anymore. Because we've created a society where everybody can do what they want, and the only thing that matters is what you feel. And because people don't want to have families, because people don't want to have children, why would they care what happens to them if they don't plan to live long? You don't need to have a family. You can live a selfish life, but don't cry when you're in your 80s, you're an old man or an old woman on your deathbed, and there's no family to take care of you. There's no children or grandchildren to make sure that you're getting proper care in the hospital, that the nursing staff isn't taking advantage of you, or, is just, mistreating you. It does happen a lot to elderly people. Who's going to make sure you're going to get proper health care? Who's going to make sure that your will is properly taken care of? That your last days are made as peaceful and relaxing as possible? Do you want to be on your deathbed with no one to love? That's on you. Because family is essential, and it's the bond that keeps people together. It's the heart that keeps a nation beating. And when you kill it, and when you tell people that you don't need to have a family, the world is overpopulated, and all of these lies, oh yeah, this is what happens. People stop caring. People are only out for themselves. No wonder we have a society like that. But when you really care about your family, and you got children of your own, and you care about your culture, you care about your heritage, you care about your people, now you're more invested in what's going on. Now you've got something to lose. And when the government comes knocking on your door to take your rights away, people would be up in arms. This is why they're dividing men and women. If you get them, men and women, to hate one another and grow divided and further apart, they're one step away from legislating anything that makes you human, anything that gives you an identity, property, anything. and you'll be left with nothing. And if that's the life you want to leave behind for your children, that's all right. I mean, I'm waiting for the rapture to come, so when Jesus comes back, I'm out. I'm gone. But whatever happens, happens. And when things do get worse in the world here, and you have all these self-righteous people that are out for themselves, and there's a war going on, or if something civil happens, who's gonna stand up for what's right when you've created a generation of cowards or spineless men? So really, traditional family values and gender roles, they are the backbone of a society. And if we break that, everything else falls. Let it breathe. So another thing I want to say on this, right? You see, a modern woman has absolutely no claim to a traditional husband who's a protector and a provider and a leader if she rejects God and his teachings. You know, you can observe how any liberal or atheistic woman who believes in feminism, you know, who rejects wifehood and motherhood, she will reject those things, right? But then later on, just watch how she decides when it comes to locking down a gentleman who will fulfill the traditional gender role and husbandly duties. She has no problems with that, but yet she will turn her back from her wifely duties because she's been deceived into believing serving and submitting to a man is somehow oppressive. See, unless she submits to God, there's no way she'll ever submit to you, men. Because traditional values come from faith. Faith comes from God. And if you don't pick up your Bible, you ain't going to know what he requires of you as a man or what he requires of you as a woman, ladies. Likewise, if you're a so-called modern man, a red pill, a MGTOW, right? And you believe all these red pill scams that fearmonger you into thinking all women on the entire planet are somehow shallow demons that can't love men, then let me be the first one to break it to you that you are not deserving of a submissive, feminine, chaste and traditional lady. You can't turn your back on godly morals and somehow think you're going to end up with a dutiful wife when you live in lust and resentment and bitterness towards women. Okay? If you don't submit to God, if you don't make Christ the head over your life, no godly woman is going to allow you to be her leader and her protector. Okay? So, all in all, wrapping this up now, while some people believe that tolerance is the way forward, they do not see that the society they are building has no moral standing. They're deleting faithfulness, erasing goodness, and eliminating traditional values that have stood the test of time. The biggest problem we face today is that there is an explosion of live your truth, and that there are many versions of the truth, which is all BS. Meanwhile, we throw out objective facts and actual truth to not offend weak-minded people. If we undermine traditional family values, then we undermine the thing that makes people have identities, principle, and a sense of belonging. And if there aren't strong families, then what's going to keep people together? If sex becomes okay out of marriage, and porn addiction is something we laugh at, then what's preventing us from becoming slaves to sex? If romantic love isn't grounded in traditional values, then what's preventing couples from being faithful to one another? If we don't teach boys how to be masculine and girls how to be feminine, then what exactly should they be raised to be like? These are some of the things I just want you to think about if you're considering ridding the world of traditional family values and gender roles, which have stood the test of time. The only solution to the problem in today's age lies in turning away from modernity and returning to tradition. It is only by rebuilding, reapplying, and relearning traditional values and gender roles can men better lead themselves and in turn lead women and children to a much brighter future. Again, this is stuff I mentioned in my book. Which, by the way, for anybody who is interested, the link will be down in the description, or you can just go on Amazon and type in Relearning Relationships. Now, to close, I want to leave you all with a quote which really ties together traditional values, family, and the role of the man and woman. And this is from Kaiser Wilhelm II. And he says, "A nation is created by families, a religion, a tradition. It is made up out of the hearts of mothers, the wisdom of fathers, the joy and the exuberance of children." And I think that's absolutely beautiful. And with that said, this is the end of today's video. So I hope now you understand exactly why traditional family values and gender roles are essential to the health of relationships and society. So with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. God bless all of you and your families. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome to Relearning Relationships. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. I upload videos weekly. And if you'd like to share your story with me, ask any questions, the email is down below, or you can message me on Instagram, also link in the description. And feel free to share this video with a friend, family member, colleague, anyone you know who may benefit from my work or really needs to hear